This battle came about after some campaign moves on a homebrew map that I drew, a fictional map set in the American Civil War. And when the forces collided, I picked the area where they collided and tried to create it on a small table. And what you see here is there's a river runs partway along the bottom right quadrant and then it peters out. There's a small wood on the bottom left with a small farmstead or farmhouse, the Marden farmstead. The road runs across the board from east to west, and the upper right quadrant has two hills. The upper left is, I've made that one, it's just lightly wooded, so it's not going to hinder movement too much. The elevation of the hills is clearer in this shot from ground level. This is located from south of the road. Looking north from the Marden farmstead. This is a view looking northeast from the edge of the wood towards the two hills in the upper right quadrants. The table looking from east to west. The two objectives will be the hill, which is in the bottom right, and the farmhouse, which is at the top left. Finally, looking northwest from beside the road. Union 4th Corps, comprising two divisions, though only the 1st Division on the right of this picture will actually be on the table at the start of the battle. 2nd Division will arrive as reinforcements at some point. This photograph's rather dark, but this is the Confederate Corps. It also consists of two divisions, but they will both be on the table from the very beginning of the battle. Confederate 1st Division is deployed in the light woods in the upper left quadrant. That's the point they occupied on the campaign map. Confederate 2nd Division is arrayed on the two hills, both artillery batteries on top of the hills, supported by infantry. The artillery and 3 brigades of infantry from this division are deployed facing north. This is because the Confederate Corps commander has received word that a Union force is fast approaching from that direction. Union 1st Division is deployed at the farm. 4 brigades of infantry stretched out along the road behind a split-lock fence. A brigade of cavalry protect their exposed flank. The whole table and deployments. The Union player is vastly outnumbered at the moment. The division opposite him is about equal in size, but a larger division is perched on the two hills, one of which is an objective. Reinforcements could arrive as early as turn 5, but more likely around turns 10 to 20. The Union commander has decided to hold the objective he currently has, being the farmstead, and hope the Union 2nd Division arrives quickly and can hopefully take the objective on the hill. The Union Corps commander is hoping this division can not only hold the rebels in front of them, but also draw more of the enemy off the hills, as this would greatly help the approaching Union 2nd Division. The Confederates, safe in the knowledge that he is already ahead by 2 victory points, need only defend the objective on the hill to win the game. However, it is not often that such an opportunity to destroy a full Union division presents itself, and he is an aggressive commander. He considers 2 batteries of artillery and 3 brigades of infantry in an excellent defensive position, more than adequate to defend the objective from enemy attacks arriving from the north. He intends to assist his weaker division's assault on the farm by committing 2 brigades of infantry as well as 2 brigades of cavalry from the hills. He intends to destroy the Union division at the farm long before any help can arrive. Turn 1. Confederate activation. Using the reserve move, 2 brigades each of infantry and cavalry moved rapidly down the hills and across the road onto the flank of the Union Division defending the farm. The artillery opposite the farm opens up and scores 3 hits on 1 brigade of infantry. Turn 2. Union activation. No point rolling for reinforcements, as the earliest they can possibly arrive is turn 6. To counter the move by the rebels, the Union Cavalry Brigade dismounts and take up position at the edge of the wood. The artillery scores 2 hits on the infantry mustering for an assault. Turn 3. Confederate activation. The assault commences on the farm. The flanking brigades also advanced, whilst the 2 cavalry brigades dismount and take up firing positions opposite the wood. Confederate artillery fire was ineffective. Turn 4. Union activation. Artillery battery concentrates on the central rebel brigade and misses with the lot. On the flank of the farm, the dismounted Union cavalry score 3 hits on their opposite number, which devastates them. Turn 5. Confederate activation. All 3 brigades press on and reach the road opposite the farm. The shattered rebel cavalry troopers are pulled out of the line, and one of the infantry brigades turns to face the troopers in the wood. Turn 6. Union activation. The reinforcement roll is a 4. No good, no reinforcements here. The Union Brigade on the right flank is forced to turn and protect the exposed flank. The other 3 brigades and the artillery open up on the rebel brigades. All take hits, but the central brigade is destroyed by a combination of musketry and canister fire. This shows the central brigade of the Confederates under huge fire, which led to their loss. The flank brigade now faces the oncoming rebels. On this occasion, the dismounted troopers score no hits at all. Turn 7. Confederate activation. The shattered rebel cavalry brigade remount and pull back to the hills. The artillery engages in counter battery, but no hits are registered. The brigade on the right flank fire with no effect on the defending infantry. A different story on the other flank. The Union Brigade taking 2 hits and reduced now to just 2 elan. A return to poor marksmanship as the rebel brigade scores no hits. The troopers in the wood survive unscathed by a volley from the rebel troopers, but take 2 casualties when hit by a volley from the infantry. Turn 8. Union activation, and the reinforcement roll is a success. The reinforcements have arrived at the edge of the table, but not as it is shown. I've just placed them there for convenience. They will appear properly on the next turn. Pounded by volleys from 2 Union brigades, another Confederate brigade is destroyed. The final brigade of the assault also takes 2 hits and is down now to just 2 elan. The attack on the farm is not going too well. The flank brigade scores a hit on the rebels. The dismounted troopers also have a single success against the rebel troopers. Turn 9. Confederate activation. The previously unemployed rebel cavalry turn to face the new threat. The rebel artillery engages in counter-battery fires and scores a hit. That hit temporarily puts the Union battery out of action. The last Confederate infantry brigade, down to 2 elan, fires but misses. More success on the flank, however, as musket balls drop Union troops of the flank brigade. The tough Union troopers are finally destroyed by carbine and musketry from 2 separate units. 10-10 Union activation. The reinforcing division now deploys. 3 brigades of infantry opposite the hills, the artillery and 2 brigades of cavalry on the flank. With the rebel brigades ahead of them destroyed, the 2 Union brigades wheel and move to the flank to face what is now the main threat. Another hit on the sole surviving infantry brigade of this Confederate division renders it incapable of further offensive action. A volley puts 2 more casualties on the faltering flank attack of the rebels. The battlefield at the end of 10-10. The Union division at the farm is more than holding its own. The rebel division opposite has seen all 3 of its infantry brigades destroyed. The troops sent to assault the flank are not doing much better either. The Union infantry swarm over to the flank to help stem the faltering rebel attack. However, the newly arrived Union division faces a difficult task. The attack on the flank of the farm continues. The survivors of the Confederate frontal assault pull back. Back on the flank, 2 hits are scored on the Union lead brigade. Ineffective counter-battery fire from the rebels. The newly arrived Union division take a pounding from the prepared Confederates. Infantry fire causes 2 hits on the lead cavalry brigade. The counter-battery fire hits the still limbered cannon and temporarily disables it. The Union infantry brigades take 2 hits, but it could have been much worse. The rebel artillery missed completely. 10-12 Union activation. The Union artillery at the farm is limbered up as the infantry brigade starts to form a formidable line on the flank. The leading rebel brigade reels from musketry hits and is down to just 2 elan. With rebel cavalry out in the open, the Union troopers take the opportunity to charge into the attack. Over on the hills, the Union infantry open up and score hits on the defending rebel infantry. The cavalry battle swells and each side registers a hit. One Union brigade is now spent, but the other wins the melee and pushes the rebels back. The artillery opposite the farm fires at the still limbered Union artillery, but fails to score a hit. The cavalry battle is resumed. The spent Union cavalry brigade is destroyed, but the other Union brigade once again pushes the rebel horsemen back. The still limbered Union artillery has a charmed life, surviving unscathed from both musket and cannon fire. The Union infantry take further losses. 10-14 Union activation. The limbered Union artillery takes up a position on the flank of the rebels attacking the farm. The Union infantry brigades storm up the hills in a wild charge. Mixed results as the right flank pushes the rebels back, but the left flank is itself pushed back down the slopes. The Union cavalry charge again, but honours are even and they have to fall back. However, the rebel brigade is now spent. The battlefield at the end of turn 14. Turn 15. Confederate activation. Badly mauled rebel units begin to limp from the field. Union cavalry charged in the flank. There can only be one outcome. They are sent packing, reduced down to a single elan. Both the Confederate dismounted troopers and infantry brigade failed to register a hit at the farm. At the farm, 2 Union brigades are almost spent, but 2 are still at full strength. After successfully repulsing the Yankee charge up the hill, the Confederates pour musket fire into them. It is the same story on the other hill. The Union artillery at the hills is finally deployed, but is destroyed before firing a single shot. Turn 16. Union activation. Fired on from 2 sides by 3 different units, only 2 casualties are recorded on this rebel brigade. The Union troops assaulting the hill fall back with just a single elan remaining. On the other hill, the 3rd Brigade moves onto the flank, but is probably too little, too late. Turn 17. Confederate activation. At the farm, the rebel troopers and infantry once again fail to find their targets. Rebel artillery fire from the hill causes 2 hits on the fresh unit. The rebel yell echoes off the side of the hills as the Confederates pour down the hillside into the Union troops. The already weakened Union brigade is destroyed, but although the other is reduced to just a single elan, it does manage to force the rebels back uphill. Turn 18. Union activation. Although winning the battle at the farm, the Union now have no hope of capturing the hills. The newly arrived Union division has lost its 2 cavalry brigades, its artillery and 1 infantry brigade. 1 other is down to a single elan, so unable to continue. The divisional commander retreats from the field with what is left. Realising that the reinforcing division has not only failed to capture the objective on the hill, but is also now retreating, leaves the Union Corps commander with no option but to abandon the field to the enemy. A final shot of the battlefield. Could the Union have won this battle? Very doubtful. They had a slightly smaller number of units overall, and with only 1 division making it to the battlefield from the start, they were always going to be up against it. The Confederates could have just sat and waited for the Union to do something, as they already were ahead on victory points from the campaign moves. You only needed really to hold the hills. But that would have made for a pretty boring game, hence the attack on the farmhouse. Well, that was my first attempt at converting a blog post battle into a YouTube video. Wasn't perfect, I know, but hopefully I'll get a little bit better. Sound quality, I'm using the built-in microphone on the laptop. I don't have any fancy dandy microphones, but hopefully that didn't detract from your enjoyment of this video. I'll certainly be doing another one. I shall probably start doing another one later today or maybe even tomorrow. Probably something with a bit more troops involved. But we shall see. I'm going to sort through what I've done. This has took quite a while to do. I didn't realise it would take so long to do this conversion, but you did. Anyway, thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.